Hi, I'm sci-fi and fantasy author Michael LaVoice, aka LaVoice in your head. And I have another request. This is a live reading, or a dramatic reading, if you will, from Galaxy's Most Wanted, Book 2. This is a scene where Kai Fletcher's brother, Griffin, aka Griff, who is a huge pain, takes a huge growth step. Something you should know about Griffin before I know I was about to start, but Griffin, nobody likes Griffin. You're not supposed to. Griffin's a pain in the butt. He's got an attitude problem and he's a drift. And he's a thrill seeking, he's a gambling addict. He's an addictive personality. And he needs to take some steps to grow up. But he's been kind of lost and feeling useless after being taken to the stars by his brother. So this is the moment where Griff kind of grows up a little bit, and Kai is not at all ready for it. All right, enough background. Read the book. You'll get the rest of it. Griff was in deep conversations with the hybrid AIs when I pinged him that I wanted to talk. He ignored me at first when I entered the virtual room they were in. It looked much like the one we'd been using on Stronghold. The only difference was that this one was on Defender. I knew Griff was already pissed at me, so I didn't want to push him too hard. But Hex was right. We did need to talk. I wasn't sure how to start, though. I didn't want to air this laundry in front of the AIs, so I stepped my digital avatar to the center of the table and rapped my knuckles on it. Griff and I need the room for a while, I announced. Raybun exchanged glances with Ventalius and Threllis. Ventalius looked like he was about to say something, but Raybun gave a slight shake of her head, her dark, oval eyes giving him warning that now was not the time. I was glad for that. The last thing I needed right now was another clash with him. The three hybrids winked out of existence as they shut down comms with Defender and returned to the confines of their own ships. Griff was looking straight down at the center of the conference table, his eyes hard, virtual body tensed, ready for a fight. I wish we were physically in the same room instead of on starships, separated by a few miles of empty space. This wasn't the kind of conversation that I wanted to have over subspace comms. Before I could speak, Griff took a breath and launched into pleading his case. You should know I've already made up my mind to do this. I know, I said, careful to keep my voice neutral and calm in contrast to his edgy passion. I've been a tag-along on this thing for way too long. Even piloting Defender was almost useless because of the limitations Yarnus is experiencing. Yeah, I can see how you'd feel that way, I agreed. And there isn't anything you can say that's going to change my mind. Wait, what? I said that I can see how you'd feel that way. He narrowed his eyes at me. But, he prompted. No buts, I said, spreading my hands, palms out. Would I rather you not do this? Abso-freaking-lutely. Who wants to watch their kid brother do something so dangerous, not to mention permanent? Do I understand why you think you have to? Yeah, I do. Same reason I agreed to stay and help Hex Palace instead of insisting that I be brought back home. Griff's expression showed he was waiting for me to shift gears and try to talk him out of it anyway. I couldn't blame him. I wanted to. Honestly, Griff, everything in me is screaming to stop you from doing this, no matter what it takes. Storm into Defender's control room, knock you in the head, and haul you back to Chicago. Leave this crazy space war and all its madness behind before you're not my brother anymore. He stood straight up like I'd slapped him. Kai, hear me out. See, that's the real issue. I was thinking it was about taking care of you, but it isn't. It's about me not wanting to be without you. I could deal with the space war and the battles and the secret missions as long as you were still there. This change makes it feel like you won't be. Griff was staring at me now, his anger blunted. You bastard, he said at last. I had this awesome mad all built up, and here you show up being all emotionally honest and vulnerable. Sorry, I said, a small grin tugging at the corner of my mouth. You suck. Yeah, I know. But I love you. And I can't help but think that if you do this... Oh, I'm gonna do it. I paused long enough to give him a nod. I can't help but think that afterwards, you really won't be you anymore. That my brother is going to die and something else will take his place. But nothing can take your place. Get it? Griff paced his virtual body along the conference table for a moment, gathering his thoughts. I'm not sure what I can tell you on that score, except that Ventalius and Raven were sharing their own experiences with me when they took this step. The way that they described it was that they're still them, only more so. Does that make sense? I tilted my head at him. Maybe. Who was Ventalius before he merged with whatever controller AI was in charge of Warlord before? Now, his name was Vental, and the AI was Lauralius. They chose the new name together to reflect the new thing they'd become. But the point is that Vental didn't change his personality. So he was always an asshole? I asked. Griff barked a short laugh at that. Yeah, I guess so. So that part of you will stay the same. I fail to see an upside here. You're such a dick, Griff said, but he was smiling. I'm a big brother. It's part of the job description. But remember, it's all done out of love. Griff shot me an incredulous look. All of it? Well, most of it. Some of it's just for fun. Anyway, Griff continued, Lauralius became more of a background, functioning subset of Ventalius, while Vental became the dominant personality. So that's what'll happen with you and Yarnus. Yeah, Griff said. Then he shifted his eyes down and blinked a few times. Probably. My brows shot up at that. Probably? Well, with Rabin it was kind of the opposite. Rabaya was an excellent pilot, but not much of a people person. She shied away from social interactions, you know? If she wasn't flying a mission, she wasn't really on. So when she and Bernariah, the AI in charge of Champion, merged, Rabin was born. She was more of a mix of the two. I turned away from him, folding my arms across my chest. This isn't helping much, bro. I didn't know what else to say. Here he was confirming the very thing that I feared most in this, that Griff would cease to be Griff. There was that selfishness again, though. What if he did? So what? It was his choice to make. His decision on how to best advance the cause that we'd taken up and hadn't yet figured out how to put down. After this, I wasn't so sure we ever could. On the one hand, it seemed so noble, but on the other, it was incredibly short-sighted. What happened after the war was over and the Koldraks were out of the picture? What did a warship without a war do? I thought back to how unstable Griff had been since leaving Earth. The risk-taking, the thrill-seeking, the constant stream of action-oriented combat sims. and his feelings of being useless. He wasn't showing any of that now. He was more focused than I'd ever seen him in his life. I didn't want to admit it was a good thing, but it couldn't be denied. I know the risks, Kai, and I'm willing to accept that I'll be different because that's what it'll take for this to work. The volunteer has to be willing to let go of self and become something more. I'm there. I'm ready. I'm sorry you're not. I turned back to him, opening my arms with palms out. How could I be? He looked away. I can't help you with that, brother. Suddenly tired, I plopped my virtual self into one of the chairs at the table. I brought you out here, originally, to keep you safe. Or at least that's what I told myself. Was that really the case? Or was there something else to it? He asked, like he already knew the answer. You already know I didn't trust you to take care of yourself, sure, but in the end, it was never about safety. It was about not being alone out here. And now it's starting to look like I will be. But at my core, I will still be me, Griff responded. Says you. I came here to air all this out. I think we've done that. But more than anything else, I wanted to tell you that no matter what, I got you. If this is your choice, then I support it. But you have to understand that I don't have to like it. And I don't. That's all I can ask for. You love me enough to let me be me, and that makes you the best big brother ever. You ever tell anyone I said that, and I'll call you a liar to your face, especially if you tell the rust bucket. I laughed and moved around the table to take him into a virtual hug. There was nothing more that had to be said except for one thing. You have to explain all this to Stan, I said in Griff's ear. Yep. You're still a bastard. Hope you enjoyed it. That was by request by my dad, Harry LaVoice. It's apparently his favorite scene in the book. Brought a tear to his eye, he said. So cool. Hope you like that, Dad. See you tomorrow.